Hey guys, imagine this. You give someone your trust. You open your heart, your home, your secrets. And then one day they turn that trust into a weapon. They cut so deeply, not with a knife, but with betrayal. And everyone around you says, forgive, move on, be the bigger person. But something inside you resists. Because you know forgiveness isn't always wisdom. Sometimes forgiveness is surrender. Sometimes it's handing your dignity over to someone who's already proven they don't deserve it. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus understood betrayal well. They lived in a world of conspiracies, shifting loyalties, even assassinations. Marcus Aurelius himself was betrayed by those closest to him. Yet he warned, don't make yourself a slave to anyone. He knew that if you excuse the inexcusable, you teach people that your dignity is negotiable. And let me tell you, it isn't. Tonight, I want to reveal to you 5 betrayals you should never forgive. These are not little mistakes, not human imperfections we all share. These are violations so deep, so calculated, that to forgive and forget is not virtue. It is self-destruction. These betrayals attack the foundations of trust, dignity, and your very identity. And unless you recognize them for what they are, you risk living in chains you forged by excusing what should never have been excused. Stay with me, because by the end of this journey, you'll see clearly which betrayals demand absolute boundaries, and why refusing to forgive them isn't bitterness. It's the highest form of self-respect. Now, let's begin with the first betrayal. Betrayal number 1, deliberate public humiliation. This is not an accident, not a slip of the tongue, not an angry outburst they later regret. This is cruelty calculated with precision the moment someone you trusted takes your private fears, your weaknesses, the parts of you they swore to protect, and they put them on display for the world to see. When someone deliberately humiliates you in public, they're not just making a joke at your expense. They're telling you who they are, someone who values power over love, dominance over loyalty, ego over your dignity. And once you've seen that, you can never unsee it. The case of Maria. Maria knew this betrayal well. She had shared with her partner her deepest struggle, her anxiety. She had told him, in tears, how her heart would race before giving presentations at work, how the thought of standing in front of colleagues left her trembling. She told him because she trusted him, because intimacy, at its core, is the safe exchange of vulnerabilities. But months later, at a company party, during a heated argument, he raised his voice so everyone could hear. She can't even handle her own job. She gets panic attacks just trying to talk in front of people. She's useless in the real world. The room went silent. Maria felt her career, her reputation, her dignity collapse in front of her colleagues, and the man who should have been her protector was the one who struck the blow. Why this betrayal cuts deeper. What makes this betrayal devastating is not just the embarrassment, it's the revelation. The revelation that the person you loved most, the one you let into the sacred chamber of your fears, was willing to turn your secrets into weapons. And this is where the Stoics guide us. Epictetus taught, remember that you are an actor in a play, which the author chooses to write. Your role may involve hardships, but never hand over your dignity. Because dignity is one of the few things fully within your control. When someone tries to strip it away through public humiliation, they're attacking the core of what it means to be human. The psychological damage. The scars of humiliation are not just emotional, they are existential. You begin to censor yourself, afraid of what else they might reveal. You stop being authentic, wondering which of your confessions might be turned into the next dagger. And the cruelest trick of all, gaslighting. They might say, "I was just joking, you're too sensitive." Or, "Don't make it such a big deal." Slowly, they make you doubt your right to feel hurt, forcing you to question your own reality. Marcus Aurelius warned against this kind of erosion of the soul. He said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And when someone poisons those thoughts with shame, they're not just wounding your pride, they're attacking your ability to think freely, to live with confidence. Why forgiveness here becomes self-destruction. Can you forgive such a betrayal? You can try. They may apologize. They may weep. They may promise never to do it again. But forgiveness, in this case, teaches them one thing: that your dignity is negotiable, that they can trade it for their moment of power and still regain access to your heart. The Stoic principle is clear: boundaries are not suggestions, they are requirements. And when someone shows you they are willing to cross the boundary of your dignity, the only wise response is distance, not hatred, not revenge, simply a withdrawal of access. Modern reflection. Look around you in workplaces, in relationships, in friendships. How many times have you seen someone weaponize another's vulnerability for a cheap laugh, for control, for status? And how often do people excuse it, saying, "That's just how they are"? But dignity is not optional. It is not a luxury. It is the foundation of your ability to live as a free being. The moment you excuse deliberate humiliation, you tell yourself you are willing to live chained to someone else's cruelty. Seneca once wrote, "A setback has often cleared the way for greater prosperity. Many things have fallen only to rise to more exalted heights." If you've been humiliated, if you've felt your soul shatter under the weight of someone else's betrayal, know this: it is not your end. It is your call to rise higher, to set boundaries so firm that no one can make your dignity their toy again. Because your dignity is not theirs to touch. It is sacred. It is yours alone. And that is why deliberate public humiliation is the first betrayal you should never forgive. Betrayal number 2. Financial betrayal and theft. At first glance, money seems less personal than dignity. People will say, "It's only money. You can earn it back." But money in a relationship is never just money. It is security. It is sacrifice. It is the invisible foundation that holds up a shared future. And when someone steals from you, they are not just taking cash or numbers from an account, they are robbing you of safety, of trust, of years of effort poured into building a life together. Tom's story. Tom believed he and his wife were united in sacrifice. For years they worked overtime, skipped vacations, and tightened their budget to build a college fund for their children. Every dollar represented a choice: less pleasure now for more opportunity later. But behind his back, his wife siphoned money from that fund month after month to fuel a secret gambling addiction. Nearly $30,000 gone. Worse than the financial devastation was the deception. Forged signatures, lies told with steady eyes, elaborate stories crafted to keep him blind. When Tom discovered the truth, the betrayal multiplied. His wife didn't fall into tears of remorse. She lashed out at him, "You don't understand the stress I'm under. I only borrowed it. You should be more supportive." That's when it struck him she hadn't just stolen their money. She had stolen their future. And then she had the audacity to make him the villain for uncovering it. Why this betrayal is so devastating. The Stoics held justice as one of the 4 cardinal virtues. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that a man's character is revealed in how he treats fairness, honesty, and trust. Financial betrayal violates justice in its purest form. Because it isn't about poor financial decisions, everyone makes mistakes. This is about deliberate deception, sustained lies, the ability to look someone in the eye, plan vacations, dream aloud about retirement, while secretly draining the very resources that make those dreams possible. Think about what that reveals. They value immediate gratification over your shared future. They are capable of sustained deception without breaking face. They see your trust as a shield for their dishonesty. The psychological fallout. The damage of financial betrayal doesn't end when the money is gone. It lingers in every purchase, every conversation about bills, every attempt to rebuild. You find yourself second-guessing everything. Can I trust this? Are they hiding something again? It destroys not only your financial security, but your ability to trust your own judgment. Just as gaslighting makes you question your mind, financial betrayal makes you question your discernment. How could you have missed it? Were there signs? And here the Stoics whisper their guidance. Epictetus warned, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You cannot undo the theft, but you can set the boundary. This will not happen again." Why forgiveness? Here is dangerous. If you forgive financial betrayal without consequence, you send a deadly message that your sacrifice is negotiable, that years of hard work can be erased without accountability. And here's the truth. Someone who can steal from you once, while looking you in the eye, is showing you a compartmentalized mind. They can divide themselves in two: the version who loves you and the version who robs you. And if they can do it in money, they can do it elsewhere. Seneca said, "The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." Financial betrayal is your warning. Believe what it reveals. The wider reflection. Look around the modern world. How many couples have been torn apart not by lack of love, but by secret debts, hidden accounts, reckless spending? In each case, the surface betrayal is about money, but beneath it is the deeper betrayal of values. Healthy relationships share financial decisions because money shapes the future both partners live in. To unilaterally steal or deceive is to say my desires matter more than our future. Your consent does not count, and that, like public humiliation, reveals something you cannot afford to ignore. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That is the simple Stoic standard. When someone chooses theft, deception, or manipulation of finances, they have chosen against truth, against right, and they have chosen against you. The money may one day be recovered, but the trust is gone. That is why financial betrayal is the second betrayal you should never forgive. Not because of dollars lost, but because of what it exposes about the person who stole them. Betrayal number 3. Systematic gaslighting and reality distortion. This is not just a lie. It is not just dishonesty in a single moment. This is psychological warfare, a deliberate campaign to make you question your memory, your perceptions, your very sanity. Of all betrayals, this one is perhaps the most insidious. Because when someone steals your ability to trust your own mind, they don't just betray your relationship, they betray your autonomy as a human being. Sarah's story. Sarah thought her relationship with Jake was solid, but little by little, the ground beneath her began to crack. It started small. Jake denying he ever promised something, laughing at her when she recalled conversations he swore never happened. When she pressed him, he'd tilt his head with false concern. "You've been so forgetful lately. Are you feeling okay over time?" He escalated. He'd move her belongings, then feign worry when she couldn't find them. He claimed her closest friends had expressed concerns about her memory. He rewrote the history of their arguments, painting himself as the calm, reasonable one, and Sarah as irrational. By the end, Sarah was keeping a secret journal just to track reality. A confident, capable woman was transformed into someone who constantly second-guessed herself, asking friends to confirm simple conversations. She wasn't just doubting Jake anymore, she was doubting her own mind. Why this betrayal is so cruel. Gaslighting attacks the core of Stoic philosophy, the ability to see reality clearly. Epictetus taught that men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. In other words, our perceptions shape our lives. When someone deliberately distorts those perceptions, they are attacking the very foundation of your decision-making and your freedom. This betrayal isn't about misunderstanding. It's not a difference in perspective. It's deliberate distortion, designed to destabilize you, to make you dependent on them for truth. The gaslighter benefits from your confusion, because when you can't trust your own mind, you lean on theirs. That dependency gives them control. The psychological damage. The wounds from gaslighting run deeper than humiliation or financial loss. They erode the compass by which you navigate reality. Victims of gaslighting often emerge not just with broken trust, but with broken self-confidence. Even after the relationship ends, they wonder, am I remembering this right? Am I overreacting? The echoes of manipulation continue long after the manipulator is gone. Marcus Aurelius warned himself daily, if someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth. But gaslighting doesn't show you truth. It twists truth into a cage, making you doubt even the evidence of your own eyes. This is why it's one of the most dangerous betrayals, because it doesn't just break trust in another person. It breaks trust in yourself. Why forgiveness? Here is self-destruction. Can you forgive a lie? Yes. Can you forgive an argument? Of course. But systematic gaslighting is different. It is not a one-time failing, it is a strategy. A long, deliberate erosion of your confidence for the sake of control. If you forgive it, you are not forgiving a mistake. You are re-entering a war where the battlefield is your own mind. And what do the Stoics remind us? Protect the citadel within. Guard your reason. because it is the only true freedom you have. Someone who undermines that has shown they are not simply flawed, they are dangerous. Modern reflection. In the digital age, gaslighting has taken new forms. Manipulative partners rewrite text messages, delete evidence, spin alternate narratives that leave you questioning your sanity. And the same pattern appears in workplaces, politics, and social media. Powerful people making you doubt what you saw, what you heard, what you felt. The Stoic response is clarity. Seneca said truth never perishes, and yet, to protect truth, we must guard ourselves against those who would twist it. If you have been gaslit, you know the shadow it casts. But let me tell you, you are not broken. You are not weak. In fact, the very fact that you doubt yourself shows how much you value truth. And that is strength. Your reality is not negotiable. Your perception is not for sale. Anyone who tries to distort your sanity to control you has disqualified themselves from trust forever. And that is why systematic gaslighting and reality distortion is the third betrayal you should never forgive. Because forgiving it is not kindness, it is handing over the keys to your own mind. Betrayal number 4. Infidelity with someone close to you. Betrayal in love already feels like a dagger to the heart. But when the betrayal comes not from one, but from two people you trust, your partner, and someone within your inner circle, the wound is doubled. It is a conspiracy that destroys not only intimacy, but also the very fabric of belonging. It contaminates family dinners, friendships, and sacred spaces. This is not just infidelity, it is treachery of the highest order. Lisa's story. Lisa discovered this in the most brutal way. After the death of her father, she invited her younger sister and her husband to a family vacation, a time meant for healing. What she did not know was that her husband and sister had been having an affair for 8 months. Think about the layers of betrayal: her husband sneaking out of their bed to text her sister smiling across the dinner table, offering Lisa advice about her troubled marriage, while secretly sleeping with the very man she was advising her about. When Lisa confronted them, there was no sincere remorse. Her husband blamed the state of their marriage. Her sister claimed it just happened, and that they couldn't help their feelings. Instead of accountability, Lisa was given excuses as though their desires were greater than her dignity. Why this betrayal is so devastating? Infidelity with someone close is not just a lapse in judgment, it is an organized deception. Two people, bound by secrecy, performing care while orchestrating cruelty. Every moment of kindness, every smile, every shared meal becomes tainted when you realize it was staged. This is why the Stoics viewed betrayal by those closest as the greatest danger, because it is the collapse not just of trust, but of the entire support system you thought you had. Seneca wrote, "You must live for yourself before you can live for another." Those who betray with someone inside your circle show they live not for loyalty, not for virtue, but only for desire. They choose the path that maximizes your pain. For they could have chosen a stranger, but instead, they chose someone whose betrayal would destroy you twice. The psychological damage, the cruelty here runs deeper than broken romance. It contaminates family gatherings, friendships, holidays, memories. It forces you to question everyone who knew who else was part of this. The most devastating part is not the physical act of infidelity, it is the performance. The husband returning to bed after texting her sister. The sister hugging Lisa, pretending to comfort her. This requires a level of compartmentalization and deception that reveals profound defects in character. And when caught, their response often confirms it, excuses, blame-shifting, minimizing. Rarely do they face the depth of the violation. Instead, they act as though circumstances drove them to it, as though betrayal was inevitable. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you always own the option of having no opinion. Things you can't control are not your concern. Their betrayal is not about you, it is about who they are. They revealed their true nature when they chose deceit over loyalty. Why forgiveness? Here is self-harm. Can infidelity be forgiven? Sometimes, if it is confessed openly, if remorse is sincere, if it is not rooted in ongoing deception. But when it involves someone close to you, forgiveness becomes self-destruction, because this is not just about desire. This is about cruelty. They selected the person whose betrayal would hurt you the most. That choice reveals calculation. And calculation in betrayal is not a mistake, it is a philosophy of living. If you forgive it, you risk inviting the same cruelty again. You teach them that the deepest wound imaginable still earns them access to your trust. And what could be more dangerous than that? Modern reflection. In our time, this betrayal is amplified by technology. Phones, social media, secret chats. These tools make conspiracies easier to maintain. But the principle remains the same, two people conspiring against one. And here the Stoics guide us: do not waste energy on those who have proven unworthy of your loyalty. Epictetus said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. In other words, once they have revealed their character, your only duty is to withdraw your consent. You cannot stop them from being treacherous, but you can stop yourself from being deceived again. Some betrayals are wounds you can recover from, but this one is poison. It spreads. It kills not just love, but family bonds, friendships, trust in humanity itself. That is why it cannot be forgiven. If you have endured such betrayal, hear me clearly, their actions do not diminish your worth. They diminish only themselves. By conspiring in shadows, they reveal that they are too small for the light. So withdraw. Protect your dignity. And remember Marcus Aurelius's reminder. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. You don't need to punish them. Their life will do that. You only need to set the boundary, never again. And that is why infidelity with someone close to you is the fourth betrayal you must never forgive. Betrayal number 5, forcing you to compromise your core values. There are wounds of the body, wounds of the heart, and then there are wounds of the soul. This betrayal belongs to the last category, because when someone pressures you to abandon your deepest principles, they are not just asking you to betray them, they are asking you to betray yourself. And there is no deeper violation than that. David's story. David ran a small business with his partner. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. One day, that partner came to him with a suggestion: we should falsify safety inspection reports. Everyone does it. If we don't, we'll lose contracts. At first, it was presented as harmless, a small lie to survive in a competitive industry. But when David refused, His partner escalated. He appealed to loyalty. "If you really cared about me, you'd do this for us," he threatened. "If you don't agree, I'll dissolve the partnership and ruin your reputation." He even twisted morality, claiming David's refusal was selfish, that he was risking their family's futures by being too rigid. But David knew the truth. This wasn't about survival. It was about corruption. His partner wasn't just asking him to falsify papers, he was asking him to abandon who he was, to become someone who would risk lives for profit. And David realized that if he gave in once, there would be no end. Why this betrayal is so insidious. Unlike public humiliation, theft, or infidelity, this betrayal doesn't just harm you externally, it infects you internally. Because if you yield, the damage isn't only what they did to you, it's what you did to yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never esteem anything as advantageous that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect. Your values are not preferences, they are your identity. To compromise them is to erode the very foundation of your soul." When someone pressures you to compromise your morals, what they're really saying is, "I don't love who you are. I want to reshape you into someone who serves me." That's not partnership, that's manipulation at the deepest level. The psychological damage. When someone close pressures you to betray your integrity, it plants a seed of self-doubt. Even if you resist, you are left with the chilling knowledge that they were willing to corrupt you. If you give in, you carry the weight of self-hatred. The shame doesn't fade, it festers, because deep down, you know you participated in your own undoing. Seneca warned, "He who does wrong against himself. He who acts unjustly to himself, because he makes himself bad." In other words, when you compromise your values, you do more damage to yourself than anyone else ever could. Why forgiveness? Here is dangerous. What happens if you forgive someone who tried to erode your values? You tell them that your soul is negotiable. You tell them that with enough pressure, enough manipulation, enough threats, they can get you to abandon yourself. And once they know that, they will never stop. Today, it's falsifying a report. Tomorrow, it's cheating a client. Next year, it's lying to your children. They will keep negotiating until nothing of you is left. Forgiveness here is not kindness. It is self-betrayal. Modern reflection. Look at the world today. How many scandals begin not with great crimes, but with small compromises, a lie told at work, a cover-up in politics, a hidden choice in business. Each one erodes integrity until the soul is hollow. The Stoic path is the opposite. It is integrity at all costs. Because integrity cannot be lost in chunks, it is lost the moment you allow even one fracture. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The simplicity of that rule is what makes it so powerful. When someone pressures you to compromise your core values, they are showing you something terrifying, that they do not love or respect who you truly are. They want to bend you, mold you, use you. They want you to betray yourself so they can gain. But listen carefully. Your values are not inconveniences. They are your fortress. They are your compass. They are the part of you no one else has the right to touch. If someone asks you to sacrifice them, they have disqualified themselves from your trust. Because once you betray yourself, no amount of forgiveness will ever heal the wound. And that is why forcing you to compromise core values is the fifth betrayal you must never forgive. In short, we have now walked through 5 betrayals that demand absolute boundaries: deliberate public humiliation, 2 financial betrayal and theft, 3 systematic gaslighting and reality distortion, 4 infidelity with someone close to you, 5 forcing you to compromise core values. Each of these is not just a mistake, they are revelations of character. They show you who someone is when they believe they can get away with cruelty. And the Stoic truth is this: when someone shows you their character, believe them. Forgiveness is noble when it preserves peace, but forgiveness of the unforgivable is not virtue. It is surrender. Your dignity, your mind, your values, your very identity are not negotiable. They are sacred. So set your boundaries. Protect what is yours. And remember Marcus Aurelius's words: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your boundaries are not suggestions. They are requirements. And now, as we come to the end of this journey, take a slow breath. Let the lessons settle, not just in your mind, but in your bones. You've seen the 5 betrayals that must never be forgiven, because forgiving them would mean betraying yourself. And the truth is, the greatest loyalty you will ever owe is the loyalty to your own dignity, your own values, your own soul. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That is the measure of a life lived with integrity. And when others fail that measure, when they choose cruelty, deception, or corruption, you are not called to hatred, you are called to boundaries. So let the noise fade. Let the shame of their actions stay with them, not with you. You are not defined by what they did. You are defined by the strength with which you protect what is sacred within you. If these words resonated, let that be your quiet affirmation. Share your reflections below, not for me, but for the others who might need to see they are not alone. And if you wish to walk further with me through Stoic wisdom, you know the path. Subscribe channel, comment, join the conversation, only if it serves your growth. For now, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and remember your dignity is not negotiable. Protect it gently, guard it fiercely, and carry it with you into tomorrow. Good night, sweet dreams.